A gunman opened fire inside Johns Hopkins Hospital, shooting a doctor, then killing his mother and turning the gun on himself. Good evening, I'm Kelly Swoope. We've been following this developing story on air and online all day long. Tonight we have live team coverage from the scene in East Baltimore, and we begin with ABC 2 News' Roosevelt Leftwich. Rosie, what's the situation out there tonight?
Well, Kelly, it's been a hectic and dangerous day here in East Baltimore. One of the nation's most prestigious hospitals, arguably one of the best hospitals, is now a crime scene. At least the 8th floor of the Nelson building is. A doctor is wounded. One man is dead, along with his mother, after a chaotic day here in East Baltimore. Take a look behind me now, though. Things are pretty much back to normal. As you can take a look, Wolf Street is back open and Madison Street is back open. But that wasn't the scene earlier today after all the roads, or a lot of the roads were blocked. And right here up Wolf Street, that was completely blocked off as authorities had pretty much cordoned off of an area and tried to keep people safe, where a gunman in the Nelson building, which is just down this road here, when the gunman was in the Nelson building and police weren't sure what was going on. They're not sure if he was holding hostages or they're not sure what was going on in there. But it was just a chaotic scene. Here's how it all went down. This all started just after 11 this morning. Police say 50-year-old Warren Davis was talking to a doctor on the 8th floor of Hopkins Nelson building about his mother's condition. The news was bad. His mother was paralyzed. Police say that Davis then was overwhelmed and then became violent.
During the course of the conversation with the doctor, Mr. Davis removed a small semi-automatic handgun from his waistband area, and fired a single gunshot that struck the doctor in the lower chest, upper abdomen.
After the shooting, the doctor, who police will only say is a spinal surgeon at Hopkins, was rushed to the emergency room. Police say Davis then ran inside of his mother's room. SWAT teams got here and were able to cordon off the 8th floor of the Nelson building. But by the time they were able to get into the room, they found Davis was dead.
First of all, I don't know. Inside the room, we were able to see that Mr. Davis was down on the floor, suffering from an apparent gunshot wound, and that his mother was also unresponsive in her bed. Now, we found out just a few moments ago that the original name that police gave for the suspect in this shooting, Warren Davis, was actually a fake name. His real name is Paul Warren Partis. Paul Warren Partis, and he's from Arlington, Virginia. His mother's name has not been released in this case. Now, the doctor that we told you about that was shot in the stomach, he was immediately rushed to the emergency operating room. Police do say that his injuries are severe, but he is expected to recover. They will only identify him as a spinal surgeon here at Hopkins. Now, the scene here, like I said, is back to normal now, except for all the media crews, but it was very chaotic, especially for the employees who were suddenly put in a situation where they were put on lockdown. Now, Brian Kubler was here, and he talked with a lot of those employees about, and they really didn't know what was going on for a while.
Well, Rosie, while we know now that this whole situation was really contained to one room in one floor, what we know now is the panic spread throughout this building, both inside and out. While the scene looked tense outside, it paled to what employees went through inside.
My boss came running in and he told me exactly what happened, that there was a guy running around with a gun and to stay put, and that was it.
And that's exactly what Sanel Robertson did, hiding in a locked room for an hour, knowing nothing but that a gunman shot a doctor and was on the loose inside the hospital.
It is scary just knowing that someone's on the outside on a rampage with a gun in a hospital where we're supposed to be protected.
But being on the outside wasn't much better for some. Many family members of employees and patients lined the streets armed with very little information and a whole lot of worry. Lonnie Mitz was waiting on word from his mother.
My brother finally contacted her. She said, I have to go, hung the phone up abruptly, but at least we know if she answers the phone, she's okay.
You got to be really nervous right now.
Oh, that's why I'm sweating so much, because I don't know what's going on in there.
But just shortly after that interview, about an hour or so, Lonnie did find out what was going on in there. All of us found out what was going on in there. But while everyone was safe, except for obviously the doctor, the gunman, and his mother, throughout inside and outside, this was all
very panicky throughout most of the day.
Right, but luckily things have gone back to normal. After they gave the final press conference around 3 o'clock, as you can see behind me, things really did kind of clear out and went back to normal. And now police are saying they're going to treat this more as a crime scene investigation. The room has been cordoned off. It's on the 8th floor of the Nelson building. They're going to go through there and just collect evidence to make sure that they can put some kind of closure to this case. Once again, one person, a doctor, was shot in the abdomen. He was rushed immediately down to the emergency room here where he was operated on. His injuries are severe, but he is expected to survive. Dead inside the room is a 50-year-old man. First we had an alias from him, but now this is the name police say his name is. He's 50-year-old Paul Warren Partis of Arlington, Virginia. He shot himself, and police say apparently he killed his mother as well. His mother had some kind of surgery in there, and Partis received information that she had been paralyzed, and they said he was completely overwhelmed by that information. Only those people that we talked about were hurt, but once again, things are back to normal here. All parts of the hospital are back open except that 8th floor of the Nelson building. So the hospital wants everyone to know that they are back open for business here. We'll continue to follow this story and have an update for you coming up at the bottom of the hour. Reporting live from East Baltimore, Roosevelt, Leftwich, ABC 2 News.
All right, thanks a lot, Rosie. Good work out there.